Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of JKL Media Reviews. And I am your host today. I am Lou Sitzma. I am a Canadian, and I don't feel 35% heavier. And I trust I can tell you that this podcast has never been and never will be a tariffed product. So please enjoy this tariff-free product. And we're going to be discussing today the
That feels
1995.
like a dig.
Is it? Oh, geez.
Yeah, it feels like one. That's all
Yeah,
right,
it could have
though. We
been.
deserve it.
It might have been. We
Hmm.
Canadians are too polite to come out right out and say things
That's
like,
true. That's true.
we're talking about the 1995 movie adaptation of the Stephen King novel Dolores Claiborne. And to do so, I have with me my regular hosts, Karen. Hello, Karen.
Hello.
And Jesse.
Hello, how are we doing?
Doing great. This is an interesting movie, and I know Jesse's going to relate an interesting story about his wife about this movie. But for those who are not familiar with this movie, this is Kathy Bates' second appearance in a Stephen King product, and her first, of course, being her Oscar-winning performance in Misery. And this time she's playing the titular character, and along with her to do so are Jennifer Jason Leigh, Christopher Plummer, David Strathairn, and a very slim John C. Riley, J.C. Riley, amongst others. And this is a movie that was directed by Taylor Hafford, and the screenplay was written by Tony Gilroy. And the novel from Stephen King was released in 1992. And this is a non-supernatural story. It's much more of a mystery thriller, I guess you could say. And it's all about the relationships, for the most part, of between women, mostly between Kathy Bates and her daughter, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and to a large extent as well with Dolores Claiborne's employer and Vera Donovan. So this is I assume a mythical island where the story takes place, Little Toll Island off the coast of Maine. And Dolores and her daughter are have a strained and estranged relationship. Her daughter is in a reporter in New York City, where we also meet her editor, another very young Eric Bogosian, who I remember mostly from talk radio movie. But
Hmm.
it's funny seeing him and John C. Riley and David Strathairn all with their like non-gray, black or brown or whatever hair that they had at the time.
No
That's
graying.
no
Yeah.
graying yet. So it was quite interesting to see. And this is a another powerhouse performance by Kathy Bates. It's not as sexy as Misery, Annie Wilkes, where that character was off the wall, shit crazy, I guess you could say. Here we have a much more realistic portrayal of a constrained, restrained, put upon mother who's doing her best to protect her daughter. And the through line of the story or the twist is what would happen to how would a person navigate the seas of being accused of the second time of killing someone, whereas the real murder was her first instance and she was found innocent and that the death was declared an accident. Yet in the second case, she's very close to being found guilty of what is an accidental death. So there's the irony of that storyline. Before we get into too much further, I'll just like to get quick thoughts from both of you. So I'll start with you, Karen. Because this is such a female heavy focused movie, I'm wondering especially how your thoughts on how these women as a group were portrayed.
Yeah, I like it because there's a whole like rainbow of women. Just it goes from one gamut to the other, essentially. We have the rich woman, the successful woman, and then the down home simple woman. I I find these types of things really interesting. I'll compare it to another movie that Kathy Bates is also in, although she doesn't have a big role, and that is Fried Green Tomatoes, which has a lot of female relationship storylines in it, and I'm always fascinated by it. So yeah, I love this movie. It's quite empowering and also very sad and tragic. So yeah, it does feel almost personal, I'm guessing, to most women that watch it, because we identify probably with all three of those women in some way or another. And I find it really interesting that we can identify with people that are so obviously fictional. So,
Jesse.
I think we're going to have a really interesting discussion because on behalf of my lovely bride, who almost thought about joining us this morning,
Oh,
oh, I would
wow.
love that.
I told her that, and she ended up being too shy
Oh,
because she watched it with me last night,
it's audio
yesterday.
only, she should have told her.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I told her, I say, hey, I've got to watch this. Do you want to watch it with me? Oh, yeah, because it's been years. And she will make the argument, and I think it's a valid one, that she didn't commit murder the first time. It was an accident. And and I know this is always something that, and I don't know if this is the Canadian and American in us, but you often are, no, you can't, the end doesn't justify the means. And I'm like, she didn't do anything wrong. So I loved seeing this movie again. I went, oh, okay, one. Then what? I said, watch, she washed and lotioned her hands. Count how many times she does that. And it's like 4 or 5 times.
And yet her hands are
And
still a mess.
yeah,
Hmm.
and then when we get to the very horribly scene, filmed and well acted, like she can't get her hands clean because subconsciously she remembers that moment.
Hmm.
So I
Nice.
just think I've never read the novel. I think
Mm.
it's told like in a first person narrative. Yeah, I don't, there are some times where I think, like, I think Jaws is a better movie than Jaws is a novel.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and so this feels like a better movie than necessarily a book.
Yeah, I haven't read the book in a while, and I was thinking of doing it, but I thought there's no way I can read that in a week. I know Karen could do it in a day,
I could have, yeah.
Yeah.
but
I do remember it
yeah, I'd have to go
because it
pull it off
doesn't
the
have
shelf. And
chapters.
yeah, I don't know if
It's
it
all
stays.
one
I,
narrative.
yeah, I
So,
don't know
Hmm.
if it's one's viewpoint throughout, and whose viewpoint is it done told from the daughter or from the mother? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here. I just wanted to note that Jennifer Jason Leigh, who's largely vanished from media as far as I'm concerned,
When
she was pretty big in the time.
when
mhm.
I looked at the IMDb, I was looking at her because I was like, we haven't seen her much. And yeah, no, not at all. And by the way, I am a man of size, so I hate to comment on people's weight. But I agree with you. When I saw John C. Riley, I went, wow, does he look young? And
Hmm.
wow, is he thin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. She was in Fargo, the latest season of Fargo.
Oh, was she? Oh, okay.
Yeah, from it's 23, 24. So yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Hmm.
Yeah, and she plays probably the most complex character.
Oh, absolutely.
And interestingly enough, her name is not Claiborne, or at least not. She doesn't take the Claiborne name. She's Selena St. George, and I just looked up. Selena means bright one, or the moon, which ties into our previous podcast about the moon.
Yes.
So,
Right. And this one, the moon has something to do with this one as well.
yeah, absolutely. Which is the turning point of the story. The film was shot in Nova Scotia, which has played Maine many times. And I recognized off the bat, I said, that doesn't look like Maine to me. That looks more like Canada. And I think Severance shot one of their episodes in Canada as well. The background story for, oh, what's the character's name? The boss lady, Trisha
Oh,
Arquette's
yeah,
character.
right.
I think that they shot
That
that episode there as well.
I think so too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the film incorporates a very interesting flashback style in that, like most times when you see a flashback, there's a transition of either through fade out or fade in, or there's a different color palette between the two time periods.
Yeah.
This movie really works hard at making the transitions as seamless as possible through focusing on a object and then having a character from the past walk into the scene, as opposed to, we were going to assume it would have been the character in the present of this movie taking place. Jesse, did you find those transitions jarring at all, or you were able to pick up pretty quickly that we're transitioning to another time period?
Yeah, I actually thought it was a very clever and well shot, especially when the person's past and their present are bending. And Kathy Bates, right, is looking off, and from her point of view, she's remembering this image. The partly because of the weather, the present is either it's winter, I assume, late fall, winter,
Late
and
fall. If it was winter, there'd be
yeah.
snow.
Okay, yeah. It's obviously very cold there. And then the summer of when most of this happened.
Yep.
So you've got that very bright thing. So yeah, it wasn't confusing for me at all. In fact, I thought it was a very effective storytelling.
Okay. How about you, Karen?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think the atmosphere is another character almost in this
Hmm.
movie. There's definitely a dreary tone to the present day scenes. And I feel like the scenes in the past are almost technicolor comparatively.
Hmm.
Yes, I agree.
And Dolores is vibrant in her youth, and her daughter is gorgeous, and we see her husband and the things he does are horrific, but they're stark and I hate to say vibrant because the colors are and everything, but it's like they stand out as like more evil because they're sharp edges. And the present is more like everyone's beaten down,
Yep.
and every single person in this movie in the
Hmm.
present is beaten down and just a weight is on them. And you can feel that because of the tone that it sets. And I just love it. I love how they almost pan across to the flashbacks, and it's so effective. And it's the way they go back, and it's color wash on the screen when they pass by the person in order to show the flashback. And I just love it. It's so effective, visceral almost. And I feel like it's innovative the way it does it instead of this. I'm doing my hands, I'm waving my fingers around, but exactly like Wayne's World. It's not that kind of wavy,
Hmm.
hazy
Yeah.
transition. It's a very vibrant transition, which I love.
Yes. And the color palette, I think, is a very good point. The past is always in bright technicolor, and the present is much more monotone,
Yes.
clamped down, oppressive. There's this theme of, or mood of, the past was full of promise and hope, and the present is, we're weighed down by what happened in the past. And this is true for pretty all the major characters in this movie, for Dolores, for Selena, for Christopher Plummer's character, whose name is escaping me. I'm trying to find it here. Mackie, and Vera.
Mhm.
Vera is a great character because she's pretty well a one note character until a certain event happens in the movie, and we'll get to that. And it's also showing the how the emotions of the characters are clamped down as well, especially like for Selena. When she's in the early parts of the movie, she's very bouncy and happy, and she adores her father, and she's a daddy's girl to a large degree. I think her relationship with her mother's a little bit more strained, but there's it's just a this movie is a fascinating character study for women. And I think that, considering the time period and the fact that it was all men that were working on this behind the scenes, it's pretty amazing how insightful it is about the world that women live in. And I think this was best exemplified by the bank scene. Karen, will come to you on that. And I was taken out of it a little bit because Bob Gunton plays the bank
Yes,
manager,
I thought of that too. I'm like,
and
oh, look, it's the warden.
it's the warden from the Shawshank Redemption, and the Shawshank is mentioned a couple times in this movie as
Hmm.
well. Anytime stuff like that happens, because obviously Shawshank has a much higher profile than Dolores. I think this movie's telling a very powerful story, but it's not one that excites people because maybe it parallels too many people's real life situation too much. But talk to me about that bank scene, Karen, and how you felt watching that.
So angry. Yeah, it doesn't happen that way anymore. I'll say that.
What
We've gotten
exactly
out of
happened?
that whole mindset of
Mhm.
your husband has to co-sign for you. But it was a big deal and it was a thing until the 70s, which is surprising to me. I know about it. It's something you just know as a woman, you learn these things. And I thought to myself, how could this happen? She has saved for 11 years. It was 11 years, right?
Yep, yep, three
Yeah.
thousand dollars.
Which was a big deal back then. And what is that, like 20,000 now or something? It's a lot now. And to see that, oh, he said he lost the passbook, and so we gave him a new one. And it's just this nonchalant kind of,
Yeah.
even when a woman signed up on her own without her husband's name on the bank account, the husband could come in and take the money because he's her husband. And the man always knows better. And there's all these connotations to it. And boy, is it angering. I feel, wow, I'm glad I was born when I was. Because if that happened to me, they used the word bitch a lot in this movie. I would be a huge bitch when it came to things like this. My name would fit if
Yeah.
I was born back then. I hate it so much, but it also informs her character in that she has to be that hardened person, and how when you see people who ridicule her in the movie, who throw things at her, who graffiti her house, they're all men. And it really shows she's not only beaten down by her husband, literally, but she's beaten down by all the men in the town, hypothetically.
And she's like an outcast because her house is out on the outskirts of the town.
Exactly. And she's not like everyone else in the town. I feel like even when she was young, she probably had more spirit than other women. And that's women were hated for that. There's a line in the show, Mary Tyler Moore, where Lou says to her, I hate spunk.
Yes.
And that happened a lot. They hated women for being outspoken, and okay, I'm going to generalize a little bit. Even today, if a woman stands up for herself, they're a bitch, they're what do you call it? They're uppity, they're whatever you want to
Yeah.
say. If a man does it, they're powerful and if a woman ages, she's ugly, she's old, she's whatever. If a man ages, he's distinguished, he's a silver fox.
Yeah.
And that's even today. And a man doesn't get fired for aging, but women do. And again, I'm generalizing. That doesn't happen everywhere. There, it's probably what, like 85% to 15% where women are CEOs. And you say breaking the glass ceiling, and that it doesn't happen often when it comes to women. And I feel seen by this movie growing up as someone interested in science and technology and things like that. And I was in all the smart classes that it was mostly guys and three girls. And it, I felt I had a lot of friends back in California because it was a small town. But when we moved to Virginia, it was weird. I was a weirdo. And the guys in the same classes, they were just smart and funny and all that stuff. And I was funny, but also a weirdo. And I completely sympathize with her character in that she was ostracized in this town. And for even the suspicion that she killed her husband, and they glommed onto that right away. You get the feeling that these were all his friends, all the guys in the town. Hey, he's a
Yeah,
guy's
sure.
guy. We all hang
Well,
out at the bar together.
and right, they implied that he came from a well-to-do family, that he pissed it all away. Like
Right,
she
right.
talked about if you still had all the boats, we wouldn't be needing to sell this.
Exactly. And it's probably the other guys in the town do the same crap.
Yeah.
And they probably rely on the women in the town to do the dirty work, as it were, even if it's
Yeah.
just they stay at home while the husband goes out on the boats. And that, I'm guessing they were like fishermen or something.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating to see that. It's angering, like I said. I grit my teeth every time I see a scene like that. But
Yeah.
I also say it's real. So there's that too.
How about you, Jesse, about that scene? You or your wife, what did you think of that scene?
I would have loved for
Apologize.
your wife to be here.
Yeah, I know. Apologize once again. I know this feels like I have like the only
Trick
tool in my
pony.
toolbox is a hammer and everything is a nail.
Mm.
But I think back of people going, I want to go back to the good old days. And you forget how little power people who weren't white males had. And I will be kind. I don't think that's what everyone wants. I think there's certainly a percentage of people that do want all power to go back to old white guys. But I think just they think a lot of just simplicity. I was struck as well as you, Luke. Oh, look, it's the warden from Shawshank. And his condescension. And then I love that line, don't say thank you again. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
you're
Yep.
not.
Mhm.
Right.
And I love how she turned it around and said, I know basically, yeah, you're going to follow the rules because I'm a woman. You didn't follow the rules because he was a man. But tell me, do I need to start digging up my yard or not?
Yep.
So it, and I looked it up, Karen. It's about 31K, $31,000 if you assume this was night in 19 like 61.
It's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And to which leads to the great line from Vera, I'm sorry, I can't help. All my assets are tied up in cash, which was so snarky. Yeah, and I think to a certain degree, the bank guy felt sorry.
After
I,
she yelled at him.
yeah, I know, but I think once he realized, and it's a small town, everyone knows what he is, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And everybody on the floor below him, again, the
Yeah,
symbology was women,
Yep.
yeah,
but they could hear what was going on.
yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to touch on, like you mentioned 1961. I don't know if you're just doing that for inflationary purposes, but the movie takes place in 1995. So
Isn't
No,
it's,
that the
but
present day?
that's the present.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when she
okay.
had the money, it's sometime in the late 50s, early 60s, because you talk about how many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said 11 years. So that would be 80s or something like that.
Wasn't that the 60s though? It,
No.
it seems like that part was in the 60s, even after 11 years was in the 60s. And then her daughter looks like she's aged what, like 15 or 16 years, maybe?
According to AI, which can never be wrong,
It's always wrong, Jesse.
yeah, the novel sets it in 92. The film, so the according to AI, it's 75
Yeah.
when with the film. Oh, yeah, so I would have to redo my money.
But it's
Um,
still, say, roughly $3,000.
Like I
Yeah.
it's
said,
yeah,
in the
Yeah. Yeah.
70s.
yeah,
Can
a
you
lot of
imagine?
money. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just makes it even worse that it was in 75 they're doing this to him.
Yeah. Like on the
So
mainland, those procedures have changed, but I'm assuming on the island it hadn't
Mm,
yet.
yeah, exactly.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
very
Yeah.
old. Yeah.
Yeah. Did your wife have any insights into that scene at all? Or
No, just she was talking about just we had the same discussion about how there are certain people that would be happy to make that change again.
do
Yeah.
you have a separate bank account?
We do not. We made a decision when we got married way back in 84
Yeah.
that we would have one checking account, though we did discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Very
have
cool.
one checking account too, but I
Yeah.
trust
Yeah.
Same
my
here.
husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our rule is anything under 50 to $100, you don't need to talk to the other one. It's
Right.
going to be over 100, talk to the other one.
Yeah. I
Just
think
just
that's
so
it.
that we both go buy, something at the same time and go, oh, shit.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bit of a conversation when my husband bought a bunch of computer parts
Mm.
Yeah.
one time that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation at that point, but
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think also what's interesting is in that scene is how Bob Gunton played it that once Dolores was getting on his case, he stood up and basically turned away from her
Yep.
as he
Yeah.
couldn't stand the pressure that she was putting on him. I thought he played the scene very well. I
And
kind
I
of
think
wish
he
he was
was
in the movie a bit
ashamed.
more. Yeah, he
What?
was. Yeah.
I
So he
think
didn't
so a
want her
little
to see
bit. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
by the way, he also plays a policeman of power, a chief or something in Demolition Man.
oh, okay.
So he's played that role a lot of
Yeah,
times,
he's
that
a
kind of guy in
authority
charge.
figure. Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about Kathy Bates. I think she just gives another tour de force performance here, and she gets some great lines. Like she's cursing and swearing.
Yeah.
And she doesn't put up with anything from anybody. So she wholly embraces what's probably the central logo of the movie is sometimes the only thing a woman has to hold on to is being a bitch. And I think from my perspective, it made me pause and think about all the women that I've known or come across where I thought, what a bitch. And this is a male failing that, as Karen mentioned, many times there's a woman that's exerting authority or power or is acting contrary to a man's wish or wants is
Yeah.
given that label. But her embracing of that is interesting because to a certain degree her daughter and Vera have the same thing going, but the motivations for each of them are different. It just gave me pause, getting back to my original point, that sometimes it's very easy to judge a book by its cover and not understand fully why a person is the way they are because of what has happened previously in their life. And Jesse, I'll throw this to you as the other male in our trio. Did that saying give you pause at all? Because I'm sure you've come across similar experiences in your life that I have with other women.
Yeah. First off, yes, I absolutely love that they use the line and different people said it at different times, right?
Mm-hmm.
All three of our main female characters use that line. My favorite is an accident, Dolores, can be an unhappy woman's best friend.
Which is a
Uh,
major turning point in the movie.
yes, it
Hmm.
is. I love that there's so many layers in this film. There is the mystery, but there is also Dolores and her daughter finding a way to regain their relationship, and both of them admitting Selena and Dolores both mentioned they both have not done what they could. And then also the whole mystery of what's going on, not only the detective, but why is Selena the way she is? So I think Selena becomes more forceful and strong, even though she is with her editor. I think she gained some more strength. And Dolores found I think she put to get back some of the demons perhaps she had with her daughter.
How about you, Karen? You probably have your perspective on this is probably a bit different, or you were going like right off the bat. I totally get where they're coming from.
I do, definitely. I can't be painted in that, and I'm not saying you're generalizing. Every single woman, and this 100%, every single woman has had an experience that makes them feel less than. There, There's no quantifying that. The even girls growing up today, they're going to have some experience that makes them feel like they're less than someone else. And it's just something we deal with. And I guess guys don't, you'll never get that. I hate to say that, but it's true. You never understand that, like, when I walk down the street, I have to have my keys in between my fingers because I never know if someone's gonna attack me or whatever. And it's less now that I'm old. But when I was younger and I would walk to and from work, which I did for a while, was there was some danger in it. And I don't think men have to do things like that. I don't know about you guys. Do you feel like you have to be worried when you walk down the street alone?
Not really, but I live in a small town. But still, like if you were in a downtown in a major urban center, yeah, I would. But
Okay.
And I often, yeah, if I'm alone, I will. Like, other words, like if I had to park far away from like a sporting event or a concert I'm going to, and I'm walking to where my car is, as long as there's a bunch of other people. But if I decide to cut through an alley, which is always a bad idea after watching Batman so much, do you think about that? I go, oh, okay, this is,
Just
yeah,
protect your pearls is all I'm
yeah,
saying.
exactly,
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
but you
yeah,
guys qualify that.
yeah,
yeah,
well, we
If
have we
I'm
yeah,
we have a much greater sense of security
yeah,
than I think a
right,
woman
right.
that
yeah,
would in the same
exactly.
situation. Yes.
And I'm saying it's hard for you to put yourself in our place.
Yeah.
And I can't blame you for that because that's how the world is. And I don't know, I'm getting off topic here. I'll say it again. I feel seen
Hmm.
when I
Good,
watch this movie.
good.
Okay. Fair enough. The I think the interesting thing, because Jesse's touched upon Vera a bit here, is that although women do seem like in the first half of the movie, they do seem like what they're saying they are, bitches, because they're all very hostile, they're very abrasive, and from an outsider's perspective, it often seems like they're that way for no particular reason. But as we peel back the layers of the onion, so to speak, for each of these characters, we do get to find out why they are the way they are. And the turning point in the movie comes with the flashback to the upcoming eclipse. And Dolores has discovered that her husband is abusing Selena, and she breaks down. And up to this point, she breaks down at her employer Vera's house. And to this point, Vera's been very dictatorial in her relationship with Vera. But when Vera breaks down, or when Dolores breaks down,
Mm.
Vera immediately senses something deep is going on here. And I think that was probably my favorite scene in the movie, is to see these two very aggressive, antagonistic women having this sort of heart to heart conversation, Karen. And I just wanted to let you talk about it and how you felt about that moment.
Yeah, they saw a kinship in each other at that point. And it's outlined very heavily in that scene that Vera had similar experiences with her husband. And even though we don't see it on the screen, she had enough at one point and that they had an accident. Her husband had an accident. And I love that she realizes, she says her money's all tied up in cash, that she can't give her a loan or whatever. I think that's what she's implying. But I think the reason she says it that way is because she knows Dolores won't take it, that she's very proud. And she sees that in herself as well, a kinship as far as that goes. She knows that Dolores is a really hard worker and that she takes pride in what she does. And I think knowing that all this money that she's been giving to Dolores is gone now from her husband, I think that might be something that ties them together. She gets away from her husband every year, but when she does, she goes to this really small town. So it's not like she's living it up in the big city. She's in a nice big house with some servants or whatever. It seems like her husband is like off playing golf or whatever. And we don't know. Has he been doing horrible things to her as well? We don't know. But obviously there's something that has pushed her past the line of what's right and what's wrong. And so she has done this thing that is horrible. And I'm assuming she just got off scot-free because she is wealthy and has a standing in her community. And I think she sees that after the fact. That's why Dolores stays on with her. But during this conversation, she makes it very clear without saying out loud, you and I are more similar than you might know. And here's my advice to you.
Yeah.
And I love that. Women are terrible to each other. I'll say that right out. Women can be really vindictive and awful, but on the other side of the coin, women can be the best friend you've ever had. Get drunk at a bar and go into the bathroom with other women, and you're all friends. I know that seems like a cliche. It's said a lot of times, but man, has it happened to me. I've gone into a bathroom when we're a little tipsy and oh, you look so good in those boots. I love it. We're all friends there. And that's when our guard is let down. I think we feel like we have to be the better woman around other women in order to be recognized. And I think that has a lot to do with why women are terrible to each other. They don't want to be the woman that has that wrong with them. So I love that they're such good friends after that day. It looks like they have become something that each other needed at that point.
They're
And
almost like an old married couple.
Exactly.
Yeah, they are.
And Selena says that in the end, these two women loved each other.
Yes.
And that is 100% true, but I don't think it happened until that day. I think Vera had the mindset of I'm paying her to do a job for me, and I admire her for being hardworking and keep her on because she's loyal. But until that day when she saw something in Dolores that was in herself, that was the day that they became, I wouldn't say best friends yet, but friends.
Yep.
And she not only admired her, but thought, here's someone that I can really trust and is going through the same thing I went through. And that kinship is so invaluable. I've had several female best friends. I will say I get along better with men, but that's just a thing because of the way I grew up in the science field and everything. But I've had my best friend from high school, we still talk to each other. And if we haven't talked to each other in a long time, it's like we've seen each other yesterday when we do catch up. And it's so weird, but every once in a while I'll think, oh, I need to talk to Cheryl. And then when I do, yeah, I thought about you yesterday too. It's just so weird, the relationship that women can have. And it's something I definitely identify with. It's the same thing. Women can be terrible to each other, but when they connect, it's a bond that can't really be broken.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
I love that
it's their bond is because of some shared
trauma
or misery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Misery. I get it.
Yeah. Jesse.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think Vera Judy Parfitt is the MVP of the movie. I think she has such an interesting range, and that's obviously Kathy Bates is amazing in this. But I think rewatching it, I was once again surprised how developed Vera was for that such small of a role.
Yeah.
Being a major pain in the ass, but at the same time, by offering Dolores to look after it off season is a backhanded way of I've been hard on you, but you stood up, you did a good job, I trust you.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you see the scenes where the way they talk to each other is toward the end, Vera's in so much pain. And Dolores knows you've got to just, that's their relationship now. There are people that are just, that have this back and forth with each other, that underneath there is this love and affection. And I just, I love her journey where,
Vera's?
and yeah,
Or
and Vera going, please make some tea. If you're going to have a breakdown, I insist you call me by my Christian name.
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think, to me, the most shocking line of all of them is her, because Dolores is trying to, it's a very sensitive subject, and she's
hmm
trying and she's talking to herself, and Vera says, has he effed her yet?
Yeah.
And I just am
Mm.
shocked by that line the first time I saw it,
Yeah.
heard it, even though they had cursed before. It wasn't like it was shocking hearing an F-bomb,
Yeah.
but
From
just
that character.
yeah, that character, and that, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
And if he hasn't, he will be soon.
Yeah.
And then to come with this beautiful party and everything's wonderful, and she's got all her guests catered, and it's just this wonderful. And Dolores, why don't you go on home? And I had misremembered. I thought she actually gave them maybe 2 bottles of champagne, but
Mm.
no, Dolores ended up,
Picking up a bottle of scotch.
yes.
Yeah.
And I guess that must be good scotch based on their budget, because he had a bright, because usually it looked like he was drinking Old Crow whiskey when he
Yeah.
put it in his Coca-Cola can.
Yeah.
And it was the same whiskey that Selena gets
Yes,
at the
it did.
store as well.
Yes,
So,
I did notice that.
yeah.
Nice catch. Yeah, I just really want to reemphasize that whole scene with the Vera and
Yeah.
Dolores, because I think that's where the movie pivots. And the first half of the movie, or up to whatever it was, the first part of the movie until that moment, it's like, why are these women all so bitchy?
Yeah.
Then
Mhm.
on that scene, it pivots and this is why Vera is the way she is, because her husband was having an affair. Maybe she was a different person until she found out about the affair, and that's when she turned into the character that we knew. And yet she never becomes soft after that moment, whether that's just
No.
because of she's become molded herself into this persona that she has in the movie, that she can't totally let go of it. But like you said, Jesse, when she said, call me by my Christian, address me by my Christian name, like
Yeah.
these are big confessions for this type of a character. And
Yes.
for Dolores, it's the realization that there is a way out for her, a happy accident, whether the accident is happy or is an accident, as Jesse was mentioning off the top, is subject to interpretation. I think in
Yeah.
both cases, it could argue that the accident was given a greater possibility of happening based on the actions of the women involved in each of those
Yeah.
circumstances. That's a gray area. I think that also the character that, and I'll put this to both you, you can answer, which character did you have the least sympathy for? And maybe it's because of my age, but I'm pretty sure I had the same feelings when I watched it the first time. I found the Selena character to be the hardest to empathize with, because she's got on the surface level, she's got the better life. She's living in New York City. She's got this great job. She's meeting important people. So what does she have to be bitter about? And yet we find out, and I thought it was a little creepy, but when Dolores is going through her daughter's belongings and starts pulling
Yeah.
out all the
Mhm.
pills and
Linda
that.
thought about that, and she's like, why is she doing that? I said, maybe she's unpacking for her.
She is, but
She
Yeah, but
refolded
she
her
also
clothes.
touring. Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
also being nosy.
Yeah, she's being nosy. She refolded her clothes, so we'll give her that. But so I'm going like, why is this character so upset? And then the scene with Vera where we find out what's going on. Well, we find out on the ferry with the grandmother's necklace, but the realization that the father is molesting Selena, as soon as that piece fell into place, then again, my perspective on her her aggressiveness flipped, because it was totally understandable. What was a little, and it was a little hard to fathom. But apparently this is common that people are able to totally block out unpleasant memories, which is what Selena has done, even though she is paying the price for it because of
Yeah.
her inability to have good relationships with anybody, her dependence on drugs and alcohol, smoking. I don't think I've seen as much smoking in a movie in such a
Mm,
She
long time.
so
was she
much.
was smoking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Karen, I'm wondering how you felt about Selena and like the realization. And I do like how the trigger for her was that chocolate, the cup holder for the chocolate, the tall pines on the
Yeah.
ferry. And then she went around to the bench, and then we saw what was going on with her father. So again, at that point, then her character became a much more empathetic, sympathetic character. The movie does a great job of the first half. We're really like, why are they all so unlikable? And then the flips it in the second half of the movie, and we understand where each one of these women are coming from. But so I'll just restate my question. Which character did you sympathize with the least? And what did you think of the Selena character in general?
You said women and then character. As far as women go, yeah, it would be Selena, but they all have their reasons for being the way they are, all of the women in this movie. If you're talking about character, it's Mackie and of course Joe. But
Hmm.
Mackie, I don't
I'm
understand him
talking
at
about the
all.
women. Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
I know. As far as the women go, it's definitely Selena. I would say second is Vera. Again, there's a reason for why she is who she
Mm-hmm.
is. And it's like that for all of the women. And some of the men, I can't fathom why they are the way they are, which I don't know if it's the same for you. I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Sure.
But I do get, and I'll have to say, me personally, and I don't know how this is for anyone else. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I wear a lot of masks. And I feel like the women in this movie wear masks, all of them.
Sure.
They're putting on who they think they should be. Selena is the way she is because of her past, but also because of her present with her editor. If she doesn't sleep with them, she feels threatened. I feel like she has said there's a lot of nobodies to her mother,
Yeah.
and that's a behavior that I think she feels like she's more powerful if she doesn't have to depend on a man. She doesn't like her mother because she thinks her mother killed her father and she's
Yes.
loyal to her father. But she also takes on some of the characteristics of her mother without realizing it.
Yep.
Yes.
And I feel
Which
like it's
happens a
that
lot.
way. Yeah, it's that way
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Become the thing we least.
Yeah.
And it, yeah, I have parts of my mother that I don't like, but I think my mother was a wonderful person. And growing up, she couldn't have been more of a friend to me as well.
Mm.
And I feel like if I get any of her good qualities, then I'm ahead of the game. And I think I did get quite a few of her qualities. In this case, you feel like Selena's hardened. She doesn't care about anyone. She makes it clear she doesn't care about anyone. There's revolving men in her life. She doesn't get too involved. And she might be loyal to her father, but I think that it's just a feeling for her. It's an echo of the past.
I'm not quite
And
sure how to help you with that.
sorry about that.
It's all right.
I said the word. But I do think that she is the one that I identify with the least. And that's saying something because I identify with all of the women in this movie, but she's definitely the least. And then secondly is Vera because I don't understand that very closed off dictatorial behavior. And then when you learn the things that she's been through, I don't doubt. Yeah, he had an affair. She lays that out. But there's also a part of me that thinks, yeah, he probably slapped her a few times. At least that's how I feel. Why else would she crack? It can't just be the affair, or she would She would just stick it out. But they probably got in some really bad fights and there was some physical contact. Who knows? Again, I'm reading stuff into it, but it's an affect of the time period and the way that she talked about him. Killing him is an extreme reaction to just an affair. So, yeah, part of me thinks that something else went on as well.
Maybe golf clubs were involved.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? I know there's more in the book. I remember a lot about the book, that she had kids and all that in the book. But yeah, the Selena, I agree with you. Selena is a hard character to connect with until she becomes sympathetic.
Jesse?
Yeah, I love the idea that as you're watching this, you aren't sure what's going on. And then once again, a great scene where Dolores looks at her and goes, "You don't remember." And because this is I just not think of it till just now, it's a common trope. One character knows something the other doesn't, and the character A thinks character B does know it, and they're just ignoring it. She always just thought her daughter didn't care.
And
Yeah,
remembered.
remembered that her father had abused her, still chose her father, and hated her for just all these reasons. And then when Kathy Bates' eyes, like, oh, wow. And then that we're going to sit down and have a drink. Then you go up and take one of that little pills. And then she didn't want to hear it. And yeah, it just, no, I can't imagine this. And I thought it was really clever from the story to put all that on the cassette. And she took a big chance because it could have just as easy not listen to it. Yeah, Vera's my favorite probably. And yes, I agree with you that Selena probably is originally just someone, she's doing what she has to do and just mostly out, and I just want to get out of here. And then after the fact, I realize why.
Yeah.
Because there's this subconscious of this is what happens. And it is just absolutely chilling. And I don't know if you're going to get to the guys in a minute, but if you do, I have some stuff to say. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think I'll just sum up my feelings about the female characters is that, rightly or wrongly, I think it's easier to feel empathy for older characters than for younger characters.
Yeah.
Regardless of sex. I just think that because when you're young and you're vital and full of energy, you look at those people, and especially from my perspective, like maybe if somebody that's in their 30s or 20s watch this movie, they might have a different reaction to the characters. But I just look at her and think she's got it all. She's young. She's got her health. She doesn't have any aches and pains when she wakes up in the morning. So she's just, what's your problem, girl?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think deliberately her choice of costume wardrobe in this movie made her look like a girl. Like she looked dressed very much like a child. And like the picture behind me with the beret and that long coat and those pants, those slacks, she just looked like a girl, like it was like a child. So I thought that was interesting as well.
That's a common thing for survivors of trauma, is that they're stuck in that time period because they've stopped there.
Yeah. If we turn to the male characters, we have the two main characters. Let's tackle Christopher Plummer's Mackie character first. He's well played by Plummer, and I'm just reading here because when I was looking at him, says he doesn't have a scar on his nose and anything else I've seen him in. But apparently, the reason he has it in this movie is because Hackford was complaining that he kept on looking like he stepped out of the pages of a GQ magazine when he's supposed to look like a disheveled detective. So he came up with Plummer came up with the idea of using an eyebrow pencil to draw a scar on his nose. But I personally found it distracting, and I didn't think his wardrobe was that uptown looking to me. Plus, he's from the mainland. He should look a little different than the regular inhabitants of the island. But I think it's interesting, Jesse, that for him and for Joe too, the contrast in their unhappiness is built around their work or their
Yeah.
reputation, whereas the unhappiness for the women is built around relationships. So I think that's a
Yeah.
very interesting distinction between the two groups of characters in this movie. So you said you had something to say about the men. Why don't you start with Christopher Plummer?
Yeah. One of the first off, Linda and I said, she goes, God, he's so creepy. She's talking about the detective, right? I see, yeah, hard to believe he's the captain from Sound of Music. And
Yeah.
she goes, I know. And Linda loves the Sound of Music. And he's so snarky. I'm Claiborne. So now then he always talks about and this arrogance of, and unfortunately, this can often be the case of someone if you have a in a police officer, detectives, right? If you and they talk about this all the time in TV shows, and I think it's certainly true in the real life. If you determine that's the path, you can follow that path and missing clues on the other end. So yeah, I thought he was just really a wonderful villain for our heroine because he's just so much against her. And so I'll let you guys talk about him and then we'll go to Joe.
Okay. Karen.
I hate Mackie so much. And yeah, he reminds me of a lot of other characters he's played, especially Captain in Sound of Music. I can't remember his name in that, but I like him as an actor. I've always liked him as an actor. And I think he does a great job here in making that character hateful.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I don't think the scar was necessary. They put him in disheveled clothes. His hair was always messed up. He didn't look like a model to me. He's a handsome man. But his attitude makes him uglier. And I think that paints your opinion of him a little bit as you're like, yeah, he looks terrible because he's just this terrible person. And I hate him so much in this movie. The looks that he gives her and the manipulation that he does in this movie, the sureness with which he wants to get Dolores. He is looking in every corner for whatever evidence he can find because she's the one that got away.
Yeah,
He's just so hateful and terrible, and his character is the worst.
absolutely.
He's a
Yeah.
Vorlon.
But given all that, though, as an actor, Christopher Plummer always, to me, has a certain dignity about him,
Oh, yeah.
a certain air. He's a very Shakespearean actor. He was the headliner in the Stratford, Ontario Shakespearean Theatre, where William Shatner was his understudy, and then for one performance he became ill, and Shatner had to step in and take over his role, and that's when Shatner took off. So, very interesting background there. The other character, Joe, is probably a more cliche character, I think, in a large style sweeps. He's played by, and I know Jesse's wife has a issue with the actor because of this role, but he's one of my favorite character actors, David Strathairn.
Same.
And wait till you see him in The Expanse. He's fantastic.
Okay.
He's a really good character actor. He always plays and this one sort of goes against type for him because he usually plays very intelligent, scientific sort of characters. This one's a very blue collar, gruff, myopic character. And with the limited amount of screen time that his character gets, I think he does a decent job. It's obviously early in his career. I don't think he's quite got the same chops as he does later on, but I think he's pretty effective. Obviously, the scene when he hits Dolores with the piece of wood, was like, whoa, like that's a big shocking moment. And yet he, like all bullies, once he's confronted, he's a big coward. When Dolores hits him with
Yes.
the milk pitcher, I think is again one of my more favorite scenes because he's like totally cowed by her in that moment.
So
So
if I can interrupt for a
sure.
moment, when I said, hey, do you want to go watch this? Yeah. So she was coming to the living room where we're going to rent it and I'm going to get it wrong, but hit me again and one of us is going to the boneyard. Linda just quoted it looking at me. I'm like, Okay, good. I'm good.
Why don't you continue then?
Yeah. Yeah. So Joe is almost a caricature, someone whose life is disappointed, an alcoholic, and an alcoholic. Everyone, it is a victim mentality in general, normally. It's someone else's fault. And so I just, I love that he is so despicable. And I think in a that normally I would complain you should have a well-rounded villain, but I think since we're telling this from Dolores and Selena's versions, we get to see this. I do think there's a little bit of you have to suspend disbelief that her being able to, you have that necklace that's his mother's. You've started to be moody. Your grades have dropped. Oh, your father must be doing something to you. I think this a slight jump, but yeah, I just think he is a great villain in this. And especially because later he does play, that actor plays some great roles. And it just to see him this early, he looks horrible. I don't know the accents, but it sounded fairly realistic to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was
It's
just
pretty Maine.
yeah, it was. I just think he, the idea of him carrying and just so easy to hate him, I was happy. I really, and I, once again, this is wrong. I realize it's wrong, but I was a little happy when he fell in that in the
When he bites it.
well, and then he's help me, and you're like, why would
Why?
we help you? You just were threatening, and then he's, if I get out of here,
Yeah.
you're going to, and then oh, gravity sucks.
I'll just interject
Yep.
here because there's a little tangent here. But what you just mentioned there, yeah, that's the fact that he doesn't fall straight through the hole, but he actually has to cling there for a little while, adds to the deliciousness of his demise. And it
Mhm.
reminds me because we're watching limited series, my wife and I, called Smoke with Karen Egerton or whatever his name.
Okay.
And
Edgerton, yeah.
he has a moment like that with his wife, and then and he says something to her, and then she just and there it is, and then she just doesn't say another word. She just walks out of the room. It's just
Yeah.
like that moment. So yeah, that was great. I think the staging of his death was really well done because
Yeah.
it would have been satisfying for him to fall up directly, but for
Yeah.
the fact that he was clinging onto that one beam and he can't get out because he's too drunk and the beam is not that strong, and the way he struggles and he pleads and then he resorts to anger. I thought that was really well played. Sorry, Karen, if I took any
No,
of
don't
your
worry
beats
about it.
away.
I'm
Go ahead.
glad. Taron Egerton plays Warcraft, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That's why I know what is.
Awesome.
But yeah, he is definitely a caricature. But as Jesse said, we're seeing him in flashbacks through Dolores's eyes.
Yes.
So we're not going to see the redeeming qualities in him. She only remembers the terrible things right now. And especially since she's being persecuted and prosecuted for his death, even though it's ostensibly about Vera, Mackie is trying her all over again for Joe's death. And so she's going to be looking back on that with not with regret and fondness. She's going to be looking back on it with all the things that she hated about Joe. And they do show that, she has softened to him a couple times in the movie. The very first scene we get, they're playing around, they're talking to each other, they're remembering the good times in their marriage and giggling. And then when she does something to set him off, he hits her, and it just shows how easily he can switch and that he just doesn't respect her at all. she is a means to an end for him. She had his child who he loves, and she cooks and cleans and does all that stuff. That's what he sees her as. And also the moneymaker. He spends all the money and then he takes her money and spends all that, or spends some of it at least. So he sees her in that one note way. So she's going to see him the same way, I think, is what they're telling us. I love David Strathern. Strathern? I don't know how to say it. My recollection of him is from Alphas. I don't know if you guys watched that show. It was so good. And then they canceled it and left it on a cliffhanger. It made me so mad, but I should have known it's a sci-fi series and they're notorious for that.
Yeah.
It's way too late now, but I would have loved to have them wrap it up in like a 2-hour movie or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Also, in many ways, a precursor to The Boys.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I had not thought of that.
I can see that. Yeah. But I've liked him in everything I've seen him in. And I think he delivers a really good performance in this as well. Even though it's very early in his career. I don't know if it's very early, but it's early. And he plays it the way that it's meant to be played. He is seen through her eyes only. It's that technicolor, exaggerated recollection of him from Dolores. And I think he does a really good job of it. And I do think there's some subtleties in his character. He can be quiet sometimes. And a lot of times if there's an abuser, they're always bombastic and yelling. And he does have some quiet moments. And I think he did a great job. And yeah, I hate him, but that's his character. I still love the actor and I think he did a great job. Same thing with Christopher Plummer. Man, is he a good actor. And it's a joy to watch both of them work, period.
Yeah. Actually, I personally think that Strathern's best scene, and it's the most uncomfortable scene, is the one with the younger Selena on the ferry.
On the boat,
Yeah, I thought that was his best bit of acting. And interesting, I also should give a shout out to the actress who played the younger Selena, Ellen Munt.
Yeah.
Even though she has like major freckles, and the other version that Jennifer Jason Leigh plays has no freckles.
She's wearing makeup.
She's wearing makeup, but so a good performance by her as well.
And since you mentioned that, the way he is talking to Selena and how he keeps looking around, right? He knows what he's doing is wrong. And then just the way and the so disturbing way he starts expressing his pleasure and how uncomfortable she looks. It's a very well done and tasteful, if he has to be, to cover that. I just think they did a really good job of that. And it's hard to play somebody that creepy in a real way, not a monster way.
Especially given the limited development of the character in large part, because we always saw him at his worst for the most part, very rarely at his best. I think there was one scene with him and his daughter at the kitchen table
where he was
where she cooked for him, and
she made the pudding for him,
she skips away, and I want to say something quickly about that scene on the boat. It's very triggering for me, so it's hard for me to really talk about it, but there are so many things in that scene that I identify with. And there's a part where she gives in to the pressure, and you can see that wall that she's put up. Her face is completely different. She is dissociating from it. And that is what helps her forget.
Yeah, for sure.
When she starts to grow up. And it's so real and hard to watch in my case. I don't know if you guys find it hard to watch, but.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good.
And I think the filmmaker found it difficult to film, which is why they do such a tight shot.
Yeah.
Later on, near the conclusion of the scene.
Yeah.
I have a couple of tidbits I want to throw in, but before I do that, I
Please.
just wanted to give you guys last chance for any other thoughts, Jesse, about the movie that hasn't come up yet that you want to mention.
I just want to stress that anytime this movie comes up, Linda goes, huh, she didn't do anything wrong. This is all his fault.
Yeah.
She didn't force him to drink the scotch. She didn't force him to run after her and stuff.
Well, she kind of goaded him into running after her, though.
He didn't have to take the bait.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
well, that's your own demons doing it. I do love Linda and I both said, I know it's not needed for the movie, but I would have liked to seen more scenes about how her daughter and her are going to start bonding again.
I think it was
Also,
abrupt. Like, why did she
yeah,
have to leave? She didn't have to go to Phoenix anymore.
yeah,
I was
she
kind of
Right.
did.
going like, why is she leaving?
Yeah, and also now that Dolores is worth over $1 million, right? Is she gonna
Mhm.
get that house painted,
Right.
or will she just move into Vera's house?
She'll move into
So
Paris, but
yeah. Anyway,
maybe she'll sell
just
it. I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
I
Yeah,
would
that
assume so.
I don't know
yeah.
what she would do with that money. It probably ruins her. A
Good.
lot of
So
people, when they win the lotteries, their life goes down the
yes,
toilet.
yeah.
But Karen, any thoughts?
Yeah, I do have a few. I'm sorry.
Don't be.
I, as far as the movie goes, I agree with your wife.
Yeah.
I don't think she did anything wrong in this movie.
Too
And
American, so bloodthirsty.
I know. I said before when we were talking about watching it that I thought she was guilty. And I think that's because I'm mixing it with the book. In the book, she's definitely guilty. She does some terrible things when he falls down the well. She tortures him essentially once he falls down the well. He doesn't die right away.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of her like going back out and taunting him and things like that. It's not like a whole, there's no chapters, but it's not like a whole chapter's worth. I think the book is brilliantly written. It's like a transcript from her detailing the things that happened with some other stuff interspersed in.
Yeah.
It's really great. There's a lot of expansion, obviously, because it's a book. It's not a movie where it has to shove everything into 2 hours or less.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend the book if you want to get a different viewpoint. But I think as far as the movie goes, I'm okay with anything she did. I know it's American and bloodthirsty and all this, but seriously, how was she going to get away? Vera made a good point. He's going to find you. What are you going to do with $3,000? How far are you going to get?
Yeah.
He'll find you and he'll do worse things to you. And yes,
Yeah.
she didn't say that. That's implied.
Yeah, and I did like that the idea of her daughter going, I don't know how I feel, but I know whatever you did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think she realized her mother was the only one in her corner growing up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
She
the
didn't,
movie
you know,
does a good job of showing that it's a man's world with the main scene.
exactly.
Yeah. And like one of the very funny, oh, so now that you're finished effing me, you're going to F me when she's talking
Yeah.
to her editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Also, I was gonna mention it, Eric Bogosian. I know him from talk radio as well. And he's a pretty prolific writer, screenwriter, director, producer now.
Didn't know
Um,
that.
And I think talk radio was one of his pet projects at the time. And it is a fascinating movie. Also, I gotta give props to John C. Reilly, and this was also very early in his career.
Mhm.
And he went on to some really prestigious roles, but also some really funny stuff. I couldn't like him more in Step Brothers. He and Will Ferrell are fantastic together. They've teamed up for several different things. I love Will Ferrell. I'm sorry if people don't like him, but I love him. And I think Step Brothers is one of those movies that is just incredibly funny. And as far as humor goes, it's not slapsticky, but there's a definite immaturity level, but also some deep issues in it. And it's a dichotomy of like humor and seriousness. And so many incredible people in it. Scott is in it. And oh, I can't remember her name. She was Agatha. in Agatha All Along.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
She's in
Catherine.
it.
Yeah,
Catherine Hahn, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, so many great people in it. And so John C. Riley, again, is one of those actors that whenever I see him in something, I'm like, oh, it's going to be good. Walk hard, all that
Mhm.
stuff. It's
Carter.
just, he's good.
Yeah.
And I think he was really good in this. He played a very small part, but a part that I think was important. She needed someone of authority on her side. And he definitely was that, a reluctant
Yeah, and I think
ally.
and I like at the end when he had the chance, he said, "This is what I saw." He has a very small part in For Love of the Game,
Mm,
but he plays the catcher to Kevin Costner's pitcher.
Mm.
okay,
And yeah, if you guys have never, that's a fun sports movie.
cool. Yeah, I just like him. I think the actors, the talent they got in this is really great. He went outside the Stephen King stable for this movie. I think the mailman might be the only actor that's been in a lot of other Stephen King movies.
He's a Canadian actor too.
Yeah, most of them are.
Mm.
I think more than half of them are Canadian, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it was a project that people really wanted to make. I love, even though it is a male-driven production, they really did a great job from a feminist point of view. Like I said, I feel seen, and that's difficult for men to do sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm bashing you guys right in front of you.
No, that's okay. I
No,
understand
we're
what you're
well
saying.
aware. We're well
Okay.
aware of the situation.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys are allies, definitely.
Yeah.
And
Do our best.
you are. I'm not worried about you guys. I wouldn't be friends with you if I had any hint that you weren't
Right.
on our side. But yeah, I think they did such a good job. There were so many other people involved in it. I was surprised to see that William Goldman was also a proponent of getting this movie made. He was the head of Castle Rock at that time. And he's one of my favorites. I've read almost every book of his, even the one where he talks about screenwriting, that it's a
Mhm.
nonfiction book. Yeah, I just love all the talent involved with this and how they understand, I think, the human condition in general, and just very cool. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into too much there, but
No, that's cool.
No, no, it's good.
Yeah. A couple of tidbits that I want to add is one, that this book, along with Gerald's Game, are part of what Stephen King called the Path of the Eclipse. It was supposed to be a trilogy, but he ended up just doing these two books because in Gerald's Game, there's also the same eclipse plays a part of that story as well. So just to know that, and that also is a very female empowered story. If you haven't read that book or seen the movie, it's well worth checking out. And that's a movie that Mike Flanagan directed. Again, another one of those quote unquote unfilmable books that Mike Flanagan likes to take a swing at, as he just did recently with The Life of Chuck and Gerald's Game, probably two of the hardest books to adapt from a Stephen King perspective that he's done a fairly good job with.
I meant to add that they are literally tied together in book
Yes.
form
Yeah.
because when Kathy Bates sees flashbacks, she also sees that character from Gerald's Game
Yeah.
who is abused. And then there are flashbacks in the book that the character in Gerald's Game sees of
Yeah.
Selena. So it's tied together like in a kind of, that's the main supernatural part in the books, is that they see each other's memory during the eclipse, that the eclipse is this magical thing. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that the books tie them together very heavily
Yeah.
in certain parts. So anyway, sorry.
No problem.
And
Go ahead,
yeah,
JJ.
I was just going to bring up, since you mentioned the eclipse, just last year we had one that hit Dallas pretty consistently. I don't remember if it went by where you guys were living.
No, didn't.
Okay. Yeah, the company I was working with at the time, actually, we they baked potatoes and had salad and cooked ribeyes, and we had tables outside and everyone had viewers. And about 30 minutes before the eclipse was going to happen, and then 30 minutes after, we shut down everything and went outside in the parking lot enjoy it at lunch, and then you watch when we had the viewers, and it was truly amazing that it isn't pitch dark, but it's twilight. It was
Yeah, it's
pretty
like dusk.
fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very cool to see.
Yeah. A couple of other non-essential tidbits I'll just throw in as I found amusing. Hackford had several obstacles in pre-production, including not getting Stephen King's approval for the script. And
Whoops.
Oh, wow.
and he had trouble finding Little Tall Island until Stephen King told him that it was a fictional place. So I guess this was pre-internet days, because I find that pretty hard to believe that he would not know that
Oh,
that
yeah.
place did not exist.
Early
Yeah.
90s.
The
Yeah.
other thing that just caught my eye from a technical perspective was during the eclipse scenes, there was a couple of shots where the background didn't seem quite real, and I'm just finding out now that because this was done pre CGI, they had to rebuild the house on a soundstage with a blue screen in a hockey arena to get the shots that they needed to do the moon eclipse. That the only way I noticed it is just that the background, it looked like one from an older movie. Those fake backgrounds, like when they're driving kind of scenes, rotoscoping
You're
or
right.
whatever it was. So I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but I definitely noticed that there was two
Oh,
or three
yeah.
shots. I was going, that background doesn't look real.
You can almost see a clipping path around
Yeah,
Kathy Bates when you
but
see that.
but that's a minor complaint. Other than that, the intended look of the movie came across quite well. And they did a couple of pretty cool transition scenes, with one with Annie throwing the axe, or not Annie, Dolores throwing the axe against the window and it shattered.
Yeah.
And then with Selena on the ferry, when she was looking in the mirror and like the back of herself. So that was pretty cool.
Was
Anyhow,
very cool.
that's everything that I've got for this movie. Oh, we had quite a long conversation. I didn't think we were going to go this long about it, but no, that's great. It's good that
10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, this is it's not like a sexy, exciting, oh, you walk away with that really jazz kind of thing, but it's an introspective but brooding, uncomfortable movie, but it's really well done. And if you haven't seen it yet, hopefully you'll decide to take a gander at it and check it out. And I'll just top it off by saying Kathy Bates says that this is her favorite performance in a King adaptation, even over Misery. So I think that says a lot. And I think she was probably referencing the female perspective of this movie as well. So there you go. And with that, it's time to check out of here. And before tariffs get raised again or lowered, who knows? And
good point.
Going forward, Jesse, where can people find out and reach you?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter, AKX, Jesse Jackson on Facebook. Would love for you guys to interact with me there. We finished up on Perfectly Good Podcast, the letter L, and we have now started M on where we're going through every John Hyatt song in alphabetical order. We were on L's forever, it felt. A lot of L songs in his discography. And then coming up.
Can I just say, I'd guess that S, T, and S are going to be long too, so I don't think you're halfway through yet.
Yeah, that's right. Coming up this week on Set Lusting Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast, I have an interview with Peter Ames Carlin, the writer of Tonight in Jungleland, the making of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. Born to Run hits 50 years.
Oh my God.
This September. And so he has a new book coming out about it. It's a really interesting book. And so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Just, would you consider that the apex of Springsteen's career?
I don't know. If you guys have Hulu, there is the Wing for Wheels, the documentary on making a Born to Run that could be my choice next week.
Oh.
Okay. And I think that's Born to Run is where he broke out. Obviously, commercial success would be Born in the USA.
Yeah.
And many
Dancing in the Dark.
Yeah.
I think those were.
Yeah, that's from Born in the USA. And I think many people think the next album, Darkness in the Edge of Town, is his greatest album. So hope that answers your question.
Yep.
I almost feel like Philadelphia might have been like a really high point in his career.
Sure, won a Grammy.
Yeah.
And his father said when he came home, where his father was living there in California, and he put the Oscar on the table, His dad famously said, "I will never tell anyone what to do with their life again."
Yeah, good for him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jesse?
No, this is good.
Okay. Karen.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. I am
No.
such an interrupter. You can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. And I am at Aleveria, Aleveria, on most social media. My blog is allystuff.com. I just put up a post last week, but it's a book thing. It's a romance book thing. Take that with a grain of salt. That's who I am. And that's it for me.
All right. I am still the Terror-Free Lou. You can find me on this YouTube channel at JKL Media Reviews. We find our one-offs on a variety of subjects across the comics, books, movies, music. And on my other YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, you'll find our archived episodes of Babylon 5, the entire series, plus the animated movie, as well as I have my writer interviews and Stephen King podcasts there. And on YouTube or on Twitter and Blue Sky, you can find me at lou.sitzma. And with that, the balcony is closed. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And see.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.